You know, so you're just gonna spill the water. It's okay.
Hi guys, we're gonna get started. Sorry about my voice. I'm getting over a cold. My name is Maria Kumiko. I'm a sophomore here at U of I, and I'm the cultural chair. And I'm here to introduce Jeremy Bautista. He graduated from here in '96 with a bachelor's in history, and then he got his MA in teaching from National Louis University, and this is his 20th year working at the Community Unit District 201 in Westmont, Illinois, and he's been a TA, a teacher, and now he is a system analysis in the technology department. And he currently lives in Bolingbrook with his wife and 2 children. And we wouldn't be here today without him because Jeremy is one of the co-founders of FACT 23 years ago. So here is Jeremy.
Thanks. Thank you very much. I asked her not to embarrass me. Yes, indeed. My name is Jeremy Bautista. And actually, if you only know me as the person who helped start the FACT conference, it would be really sad because there's a lot more going on with me, and we're going to talk a little bit about that and talk a little bit about what drives you as well. Before I get started, I'm going to do the typical college freshman thing. If you look to the person to your left and right, and if that person is someone that you don't think you're going to be able to chat with during this workshop, I'm going to ask you to find other people to sit with. If I'm the only one who's going to talk during this workshop, it's going to be, I'll consider that somewhat of a fail on my part. Today, it's not just going to be about what I have to say, but a lot of things that you're talking about as well, hopefully thinking about and then sharing with each other. All right? Cool? Cool. All right. So anyway, yes, by way of, as advertised, I was one of the founders of, one of the co-founders of FACT. But actually, this whole story actually, you know what? Let me stop. I should make some acknowledgments of different things. I actually did a lot of research on this with among my friends and some of the people I work with, social workers, people who work in job coach positions. A lot of these things are amalgamations of different issues that have come up. And so these people I'm going to be thanking. You probably don't know any of these folks, but I'll tell you, the more you share and the more you talk about the things that you're passionate about, it's interesting what you will learn and interesting what you'll gather. So I want to acknowledge these people as well as acknowledge my family. Right there. Hi, Mom. And my 2 kids, Jedediah, who we call Jedi, and Micah, over here. They're in 1st and 3rd grade. Okay? And we're at the lovely neighborhood. So really, without their support, it would be really difficult to even be here. So thank you. And thank you to Maria, who's been helping us a lot this morning. Okay. I don't want to tell you I sold you a wrong bill of goods, but the more I did my research with my friends, I realized that this title went to a workshop that really I decided isn't where I was going with this. And so in more recent weeks, I've actually had to change the way I looked at this workshop. So unfortunately, I had to kind of scratch this, and it's actually going to be more like this. The little steps that you take towards passion. When it's subtitled, Passion is found in the nirvana of the flow. So for those of you who are psych majors, this might be a little bit of something interesting to you. For the rest of you, I want to break this down for you so then you can understand what role you play in actually the things that you are interested in. All right. Now the story actually doesn't begin with the conference 23 years ago, which it did start 23 years ago. It actually started when I was 9 years old. And in 1983, my parents took me and my siblings on a month-long vacation to the Philippines. And this vacation changed my life because I 100%. It was awful. It was dirty, congested. I could sense I was completely out of place here. And so I was so mad and so hateful about the whole thing that I took my 9-year-old self, when I got home, took my 9-year-old self into the bathroom and looked in the mirror and said, I disown my Filipino heritage. Now, okay, I'm like 9 years old, but I have an 8-year-old, and I've heard things he says. And so actually now I think, I actually did say that, and I meant it. I really did want to live in Midwestern, suburban, for lack of a better term, Caucasian, white lifestyle. And I could where I lived. It was just, I went through junior high, elementary school, junior high, and high school, and that's exactly what I did. But then I got to college and I made it here to U of I. And basically, I saw a bazillion people, and they were all different, and there were all kinds of different things that I could see myself as. And I was thinking, if I wanted to have a fresh start, this is the place to do it. So I was really open to kind of rediscovering myself and giving myself a clean slate. And so the first campus organization that I came in contact with and really hung on to would be the
Student Association.
No, it was actually the Asian American Association. And what happened here was that these were people that I kind of got to know, and in the early 90s, and you have to kind of put yourself in the early 90s, where there was no cultural center, no Asian American Studies program, a lot of things we had to do on our own. There was this resurgence of trying to identify what it meant to be Asian American. What's Asian American identity? It wasn't something that they started, because this was a decades old issue that students on campus have been dealing with. But it was this new thing that I was discovering about myself. Oh my gosh, I'm Asian American. Okay? And so not only did we have fun and did all the relationship sort of building things, but this was a place where I started to grow in my identity as an Asian American. Okay? Even so far as my sophomore year, I joined an awareness committee, and I enjoyed it so much that I became the awareness chair. Starting to write my own workshops, writing my own seminars, getting together with people like you guys here and saying, what does it mean for us to be a minority? What does it mean for us to be Filipino American? So there was that other organization, of course, the Philippine Student Association. And had a lot of good times. Can't complain about it. We had fashion show and DJ battles and sleepovers and night parties and all that sort of stuff, and it was all good. But because I was one of the very few Filipinos in AAA, I kind of looked at PSA and said, wow, that's fun, but I can do that anywhere. I was kind of looking to the PSA to be something that was more like this, like something that was more uniquely Filipino, and it didn't provide it. Yes, there was cultural dances, and these are actually PSA photos, but it wasn't more than that. I've been doing this since I was a kid, doing cultural dances and such. So by my junior year, the president of the PSA, Shaw Gutierrez, she came to me and said, wait, you're Shaw's kid, aren't you?
Yeah.
Your mom came to me and said, earlier we were talking about lineage, and here we go. Here's another piece of lineage that I have. I'm like, you look familiar. My mom said, she's going to be in here. I'll send her a picture. The thing is, she said, the things you're doing in AAA, I'd like you to do in PSA as well. Okay? And I'm not just saying this. I think his mom, Shaw, she was a really good leader at the time. And the right leader for the PSA at the time to say, you know what, we're not just Filipino, but we want to see who we are in the Asian American community. So she asked me to do the awareness chair, not just for AAA, but also for PSA. So we started an awareness committee. Okay? See, Shaw. So we did a lot of programming that was similar from AAA to PSA, but then we did unique programs as well. Like this is a picture where the group of us went to see one of Pintake's early productions. Everyone knows Pintake, right? So we saw Alamat, which was about immigration. And then we had meetings as well, trying to get people to have kind of relationship building as well as to get to know the issues of our community. Now the guy up there in the up there with the baseball hat, that guy's name is Paul McSambo. He was a freshman in this photo, and him and I really agreed upon a lot of different issues. And so we sat down for a meal, and I said, what do you think about this awareness committee? What do you think we can do? He said, I really think that there would be more people who would join PSA if we did other things than just have parties and have these different social events. And we do culture dances, but there's so many more things we can do. I'm like, okay, well, what do you think? What do you think we can do to draw more people to PSA? And he said, well, why don't we hold a conference? I said, okay. Well, I understand kind of the back-end organizational stuff, and you want to do, kind of put stuff together, so why don't you be the conference chair, and I'll be the organization person in the back. And by February 1994, we had our first Filipino-American Identity Conference, which is a terrible name for a conference. It doesn't sell t-shirts or anything like that, so I'm really glad it's not called FACT. But this is what we came up with in 1994. There was about 70 people who showed up. We had speakers come down from Chicago, different people who had experiences that we wanted to tap into. Of course, we had our typical food thing. But it wasn't all U of I people. There were 7 people who came from Michigan State. Is anyone from Michigan State here? The guy in the suit over here is Bill Delasalas. He's a big wig over in Kraft now. He was the president of the PAST. Who's PAST still there? Yeah. No, so he was the president of PAST. I forwarded these pictures on to him. He was just like, oh my gosh, we're so skinny. He's thankful that we remember him still. Okay, and on his behalf as well, to Michigan State, to U of I, and to everybody who's been coming to this conference over the 23 years, thank you. I really am just really overwhelmed with what I've seen this weekend. Things that I've been thinking about in preparation. I'm just very thankful to be here and thankful that you guys continue to push forward. And it's like full circle for me to be here, okay? Because all along, one of my passions has been education. One of the things that I love to see is to talk, not just to share information, but to inspire people on. And earlier on, when we started the conference, there was that seed of we want to build our community. We want to draw people into these social issues and find what our community is really about. And I think that's still here. I sense that that's still here at the base and core of that conference. So thank you so much for being here. Now, I know you are not really here to hear about my passions, but really here to kind of explore yours. So what I want to do here is kind of look at how we should look at passion. Now, I told you earlier that I kind of had to change the format of the workshop. Because originally, and most of the time, when someone talks about passion, it's a pretty methodical sort of viewpoint saying, what is passion? What's your passion? And how do you get it? Pretty methodical. But there's a flaw in this. And a gentleman named Cal Newport, who's a professor at Georgetown, he would say that it's bad advice to simply say, follow your passion, for 2 reasons. One, it presupposes that someone actually has a passion. And the second problem is that even if you have a passion and you try to seek and follow it, that doesn't mean you're going to be successful. Case in point, a friend of mine named Dennis, he really wanted to work with NGOs, go overseas and work with different people. So he decided to go with Peace Corps. Noble organization, noble work. A couple years later, he comes back and he was completely disillusioned. And in fact, he's not the only person who came back from Peace Corps feeling like, this isn't exactly what I signed up for. Another friend who used to cut my wife's hair has a great passion for hairstyling. You know, would try to open up her own salon, but couldn't keep the business open. She's passionate about it. She's following her passion, but it wasn't successful. Okay? So we're actually going to approach this a slightly different way. Okay? So, remember I told you, I hope that you're going to be able to chat with people next to you. I'm going to give about 5 minutes. I want you to discuss this with your partner next to you. I'd like you to share an experience when you were so engrossed in it that you lost track of time. Okay? Now, I'm not talking about laying on the beach. That's not an activity. Okay? I know, college, like sleep is an activity, right? No, but what I mean is something that you're actively doing something, and in so doing, you're so engrossed in it, you lose track of time. All right? Okay, cool? Take about 5 minutes, chat with each other, and we'll come back around and I'll tell you where to see the okay? Okay, go.
We're putting it on.
So, I think we got enough time to kind of chit-chat a little bit about some experiences that you had. When you have an experience that you're so engrossed in, that's one way to say, you know what, we would call that an optimal experience. Now, I'm going to get into a little bit of heady psych sort of stuff. I was not a psych major. I'm more of a engineering nerd. Okay? But this stuff is actually pretty important for you to kind of get your head around some of this. An optimal experience. We've all experienced times when instead of being buffeted by anonymous forces, we do feel in control of our actions, masters of our own fate. On the rare occasions that it happens, we feel a sense of exhilaration, a deep sense of enjoyment that is long cherished and that becomes a landmark in memory of what life should be like. This is what we mean by an optimal experience. Sometimes we call it like I'm in the zone. I'm totally in my groove. And all pistons are firing. All these different things which say, this is what I was meant to do. This is what I trained to do. I'm prepared, and this is exactly what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I am going to quote the guy, but I'm not going to say his name. But this guy wrote a book about flow. And this is the experience where you're saying that I am fully optimizing my talent. Okay? A simple way for you to understand that might be like if you ride a bicycle. Okay, everyone here rides a bicycle, right? Right. So this isn't the generation starting with segways, right? I know what a bicycle is. But if you set a bicycle up, you're going to set your seat up a certain height. And they always tell you, set it up so that when you pedal all the way down, your leg is fully extended. Why? You get the full leverage of your leg. Okay? You're optimizing all of that leg for power on your pedal. But that's what this is. All these different things will say, I had that sense of exhilaration and enjoyment. And because you were prepared to do that, and because that's the challenge that was placed for you, and you're able to do that, you can have this optimal experience. Okay? And that leads to the other thought, which is flow. And that's the point that this book is about. Where optimal experience is the engaging and highly satisfying, flow is the feeling that's described by being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. Ego falls away, time flies, every action, movement, and thought follows inevitably from the previous one, like playing jazz. Your whole being is involved, and you're using your skills to the utmost. You're maxing yourself out. And when you max yourself out, you totally feel like that's where I was meant to be. Okay? That's flow. That's the feeling. The optimal experience is the situation, and the feeling is flow. Does that make sense? You guys good with that? Okay. Just to break this down one more time, to put it into context of other feelings that you might have. This is a chart of challenges from low to high and abilities relative to that challenge from low to high. So if you have a low ability in something but you get a low challenge, you might be apathetic to it. Like, who really cares? It's not a big deal. But if it's a harder challenge, you might worry about it. But then if it's a really high challenge and you have low ability, like maybe me trying to do my own taxes, or maybe you on finals week, or whatever. You know, you got to talk to your boyfriend or girlfriend's mom, dad. I mean, anxiety. Maybe you have a moderate ability in something, and it's a low challenge. You might be bored. Like, I can handle that. That's kind of too easy. But if it's a high activity, and I know what it says, I'm going to leave it right there. But if you have this arousal state, to me, I would interpret that as, ooh, I kind of got hit with something that I wasn't fully prepared for, but now I feel like I got up my game. I feel like I'm down that road, but there's more for me to go. That's where that comes in, arousal. And then abilities, if you're high functioning in a certain area, a low challenge might be very relaxing. Like you can do that in your sleep. If it's a challenge that you are head and above, maybe that would be a control situation where you feel, I am totally in control. And it's not for the faint of heart. People who have a moderate challenge but have low ability, they can't handle it. Not everyone is built to do what you are doing now. You feel in control. But up there, high ability faced with a high challenge, that's where you're maxing yourself out. You start to experience that flow. You start to feel that full engagement. You see this a lot in sports, but you can also see that if you're a musician or someone who's really focused on studies or certain type of research. People really get into their groove and they're experiencing flow. And flow is not magic. This is not something that just haphazardly goes on. This is something that you kind of build up to. And it will look different for different people. It will look different for different people. Okay? For a child, it could be placing with trembling fingers the last block on a tower she has built, higher than any she has built so far. For a swimmer, it could be trying to beat his own record. For a violinist, mastering an intricate musical passage. For each person, there are thousands of opportunities, challenges to expand themselves. Okay? It's dated, the stuff is really dated, but you kind of get the point. It'll be different for different people. And my kids play piano, and their flow is going to be different than me playing tennis, or you doing whatever you do. It's going to be different for different people at different stages. So let me give you the example that Cal Newport, the author I mentioned earlier, the professor from Georgetown, the way he described it. Because he talks about a piano virtuoso. Piano virtuoso probably starts at age 4 or 5, whatever. But do you think that they have a passion for piano? It's probably unlikely. They're just playing Suzuki because they were told to. They're just kind of like playing along. But then maybe they have a serendipitous positive experience. I'm just going to say that again. A serendipitous positive experience. Not expected, but very encouraging. So that child might be encouraged to try something harder. Build the skill to accomplish that, have some confidence, and then say, I can take on a greater challenge. They get more interested, then all of a sudden their skill gets higher because the challenge is greater. They start stepping up their game. Their interest starts to grow. That interest starts to turn into a passion. They get harder pieces, they can work harder, and continue to grow and grow and grow until they become this piano virtuoso. But it didn't start off like that. They started off just a kid playing piano, but they got good at it, and they had a serendipitous positive experience. And it began to grow. Cal Newport will say that passion grows with skill. Passion will grow with skill, but that skill is encouraged because they are able to have these reinforced activities. But all along, they maintain to be in flow appropriate to their age or appropriate to their skill level. If that all of a sudden that kid was going to be asked to play Mozart, that kid's going to get frustrated. But right now, they're doing what's challenging for them, but just enough that they can grow organically and eventually have this great passion. I say all that because you have a lot of choices, because you have a lot of choices and opportunities that are in your world to do, so that you can continue on. So this beginning part is the thing that's that question. Having a serendipitous positive experience. So here's my question to you. You can turn to your partners once again for a couple of minutes. Can you share an experience that you would call a serendipitous positive experience? And when I say that, it could be something that just happened and you just started to see the goal. You may have not realized that was one of those moments, but if you look back and you go, oh, you know what? That really was a moment over there, kind of 20/20 hindsight. Now for some of you, that may have been something that started growing and all of a sudden it fizzled. Sorry to bring it up. But I want you to still bring that up as a situation. Or maybe you're in that situation where you're still in a growth pattern. Please go ahead and share that. So take about 5 minutes with one another and talk a little bit about that. I want you to try to identify one of these positive, these serendipitous positive moments, an unexpected moment that you started to see them. Go. So I only see my face. So I'm Jeremy. Nick. I really wish I could be like because obviously she's really fun. Cool. But I just haven't been in touch with her. Yeah, Dexter. Okay, cool. Let's bring her in. Let's just Google Hangout her and ever talk to the conference. So this is seriously, your mom was like that. She was like, So the reason I want you guys to share that experience is not just to kind of recap, some of the things that you've been doing, but also really it's something that you just cannot take for granted. You never know where this is going to go. I told you already, and as advertised, I am one of the co-founders of FAC. But that's the smack middle of my college career. That's February of my junior year, and I had FAC. Okay? It started actually back when I was a freshman. Coming out in 1999, 1991, thank you. The math is wrong. As a freshman coming in, AAA won the bid to hold MASU here. MASU was a brand new organization, and they were going to hold it, and I decided I'm just going to get involved. I don't know anybody. I don't care about really anything, except just to kind of hang out with people. I did publicity for them, and I started making flyers. Yes, I made a threefold flyer to say, please come to the MASU conference. This is long before internet, right? So I made this flyer, and he said, don't tell anyone, because you'll be making flyers like your whole life after that. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I continued to disobey that advice, and I became one of the small group leaders for MASU. My sophomore year, I became the res hall coordinator for AAA, so I took care of the six-pack here at U of I, took care of those people. And then I started doing the awareness stuff for AAA. Got really inspired, and I did awareness chair for PSA and AAA. We started this conference, and then we also bid for the MASU conference for the following year. So I was the MASU rep, and for some reason, the person from U of I who was on the executive board decided to quit. I don't remember the story, I don't really care. But then I had to fill that role because I was one of the coordinators here on campus. So I helped run the MASU conference, which was 600 people, 4 days, and it was just gobs and gobs of things without internet, without cell phones, yelling down the street, things like that. And so that was my entire senior year, which at that year, I was also the vice president external for PSA. That was the group that was the position I was in when I started coordinating with different organizations on campus to say, hey, as Asian American organizations, we should find unity. We should find common ground that we can start to work on together. Out of that relationship that I had with my friends and the other organizations, that's where APAC started, Asian Pacific American Coalition. Asian Pacific American Coalition started there. We started to meet, we argued and we fought, but we were unified. And we were the ones who started to write proposals for the Asian American Culture Center that did not exist. It did not exist. That's a huge thing for us, to kind of come up with this thing that we wanted the university to recognize us as Asian Americans on campus. From there, my super senior year, we decided that we weren't only going to do that, because if there was no Asian American Culture Center, we had to do it ourselves. So we started to do leadership workshops at the beginning of the year, called like a leadership retreat, and at the end of the year, we started doing award ceremonies, which I think you guys still do. Okay, that was a project we did because we wanted to celebrate. No one was celebrating anything we were doing. No one was looking back going, what a great year you've had. So we did it ourselves. So we came up with our own plaques and our own awards, and we wanted people to feel like they were contributing to a huge, huge cause, which it was. It was a humongous cause. I didn't know that when I was a freshman. I was just kind of doing what I thought was important and what was valuable, and I just kind of started to grow in my skill in organizations and grow in my passion for this. And by the end, if you knew me at all, and was asked, you would say, I think Jeremy does have a passion. I think Jeremy does have a passion for Asian Americans, Filipino Americans, and for them to grow as leaders, and for organizations to have depth and substance in what they do and what they talk about. Now that's not special, that's not special. I'm not boasting, because many of my friends would have those credentials and more. But that passion didn't grow out of nothing. It didn't just happen. I didn't chase it. It grew with the skill that I had. Okay? So do not take for granted that small seed, that small serendipitous positive moment. Because actually, who would have thought that this would turn into, wait for it, who would have thought? I certainly would not. In 23 years, between here, the faithfulness of leadership at U of I as well as other schools to say this is important and this is valuable. This is where that passion continued on, and you're sitting here as a product of that and as the seed of the future generation that goes on from here. Who would have known? And who knows where you're going to keep going with that? So here's a philosophical question that you might want to ask yourself. You want to talk to other people, you can. But if you don't know where that destination is it still worth taking the journey? I'm going to argue yes. I don't know if that's going to fail. I don't know if it's going to crash and burn. I almost got kicked out of school a couple times because I was failing my classes and I wasn't doing what I was actually here to do. Okay? But I came and I got so much out of college because I came what I became passionate to do. I did what I was passionate in doing. And that journey took me down a lot of interesting roads, connecting me with a lot of different people, connecting me with you guys here today. Okay? I think that even though you don't know where the destination is, you should still take the journey. And now I'm going to step into my old man role. I think now as an adult further down, a little bit down the road from where you guys are at, I don't think you will ever know what that destination is. I think it's all journey. I think that you're all going a little bit along the way, and you kind of don't know that it's going to turn. You will want to, and there's nothing wrong with planning and wanting, but it's all journey because it's so powerful every step of the way of what things can happen, and your impact in what's going on in your world around. Okay, I'll stop preaching. Contrary to what we usually believe in moments like these, they are not passive, receptive, or relaxing. But the best moments usually occur when the person's body or mind is stretched to its limits in a voluntary, that's the most important word on this slide, voluntary effort to accomplish something difficult and worthwhile. Optimal experience is thus something that we make happen. And there's a second most important word on this slide. You guys make it happen. It's not magic. You don't say, I'm going to follow that passion. Okay? That's making that the goal. Actually, passion is the byproduct. It's the byproduct of your hard work, of you deciding, I'm going to challenge myself and step out of my comfort zone, as Billy Duck was talking about this morning. Step out of your comfort zone and to do something that's really important. Okay? Yeah, I disconnected myself with Billy Duck. I didn't know that. Let's get to some practical things. what stage you find yourself in, one of the most important things that you can do is find a mentor. If there's someone who's gone down this road before you, I think it's well worth your while to connect with that person. You know, and if you can't find somebody who's like that, you know, I think that finding a partner to take that journey with is a valuable task as well. You know, these people who you take the journey with, these people who might be somebody who you look at your ate or your kuya or your auntie and uncle, those people are valuable. And if they're not there, then your friends, your peers who can support you. Maybe you're having a hard time, they can encourage you. If you're starting to step out of line, they can correct you, and you can do the same for them. The people that you can take the journey with, a mentor or a partner, I think are extremely valuable. Another practical thing is, wait for it, block out the time. Okay, now it's cliche to say, you're never gonna do it until you plan for it. You're never gonna do it until you just say, I'm gonna do this. The problem is that's 100% correct. Cal Newport will even go so far as to say you should just do a block schedule, okay, and kind of see how long it takes to do different things. Because really you're not, because you're gonna favor sleep. You're gonna favor eating. You're gonna favor the flash, which is art. You know, you're gonna favor other things because it's easy and it's low. It's low challenge, okay? But you're gonna have to block out the time. It's just the reality of it. And the reason you would block out that time is so you can do deep work. Okay, Cal Newport goes on and talks about it like this. Deep work is focusing persistently and without distraction on a cognitively demanding and valuable task. Persistence, even if uncomfortable, is how you improve at a cognitive skill. In other words, if you don't work at it, you're not going to get it. Okay? Okay, algebra is not going to just like go like this and, you know, I got algebra. It's not the matrix. You can't download judo. Okay? It's just you have to spend time, turn off the TV, turn off the phone, you know, just close up all the other things and focus on that task. But if it's a task that you want to do, like I really got to work on my backhand, so you stand there in front of the wall and go boing, boing, you know, and 1,000 of them, and you're going to get better at it. Okay? Or if you're doing some other thing, you're looking into, let's say, some history project, and you're really interested in family history. You dig and dig and dig, and you're not going to get better at it. You're not going to learn how that stuff works until you just clear out the distractions and dig deep. Okay? So when you block out the time, do the deep work. Okay? And there's a secondary thing underneath doing this deep work during this time, which is, and too bad I can't get it all in the same slide, but incremental steps. Cal Newport has one suggestion. When you spend quality time on a particular task, have a goal at the end. Meaning, like if at the end, if you say you're a coder, right? Say you're doing some computer code. At the end of the time that you're going to commit to working on something, have a product at the end, like a particular app that you want to make sure you create, or a typical threshold that you want to get past. If you're doing some other work, you can figure out whether incremental goal you have an artifact that's an education term. Have an artifact of your work. Or something to say, I made something, I did this step. It wasn't for nothing, it was for something, and this is how you can prove that to yourself. Okay? And really to no one else. So setting incremental goals for some artifact that you have. Okay? Which leads me to my last thing. I told you, actually I didn't tell you this. Here's the thing. I think there's 3 types of people in this room. Okay? There are people here who probably came in saying, I know what I'm passionate about. There's probably people here who probably say, I think I know what I'm passionate about, but I'm not sure if I want to commit. And there's probably people here who probably came in saying, I have no idea where I'm coming from. I know I should have said that at the beginning. It would make more sense. But wherever you happen to find yourself here, I think there's something that you can do. You can, wherever you find yourself in your skill level, wherever you find yourself in how you've been developing your skill or your talent or your interest level in something, I think there's probably something you can do. Okay? So I want you to maybe spit it out. Okay? So share with your partner one thing that you think that you can do to kind of continue to develop some interest or some passion or something that you're working on. Okay? Go ahead and we'll come back and I'll see if I can help you out in 1 5 minutes. Okay? What's one thing you can obviously I'm going to end up with some extra time, which is probably not bad. I could do it if you want. But basically, it's happy to see you time. Basically, the thing that we're talking about today is I'd like them to put that into a form for me, and then I'll email them back to remind them of this thing that's accountable for. Not as a gotcha, but as you know what? I want to have some way to put people here. I went to this conference, and now am I back going all of a sudden back in the days? That's what I want to do. She's a Wednesday? I don't know. I really messed up my beginning because I didn't see that. It's actually, no, it's fine. But this is going well. I do know kind of oh, and is this supposed to be not that I'm going on alone or anything. And everyone's fine because they're better. And we answered to all the questions. Soccer. When do you go soccer? Like, this thing's so funny. That thing is
Wait, the alma mater? Yeah. Like they do have shirts there, so it's across the quad. It's like a green street and right. Oh, the post? Oh.
Okay, so hopefully we're able to kind of articulate something. And if you talk to somebody from your campus, maybe you'll run into them in the coming weeks and say, hey, you know, how you doing with that thing that you're trying to do? And I don't mean to say you should like start doing gotcha games with your friends, but what I want to do is I want to make sure that you don't walk away from either this workshop or anything from this conference and say, well, that was entertaining, but I have this thing in education where it's one thing to share information, but it's another thing to make change. One thing to make people smart, it's another thing to make people wise. Okay? So here's how I want to help you. If you have your phone out, if you want to do this, you're going to go to this. You can go to this website. You don't have to, but you can. And what this is going to be a small form. Think of it as a time capsule. Okay? You can put your name optionally, or you can just put it in. But on that form is just going to be a simple text area that says, this is what I'm going to do. And then if you want a reminder email of that, to say in a couple of weeks, I will email you back exactly what you wrote. Okay? And it's, if it's a personal thing, I mean, you can write what you want to write. I'm going to send you another email back in 2 to 3 weeks and say, this is what you said you were going to do. And I'm not gonna be like, hey, no, it's just, but I want you to have not stood still here. I want you to have moved on and moved forward, okay? Also, at the end of that form, if you finish it, there's my contact information. And you're more than welcome to contact me later. Say, hey, you know what? How did that work again? Okay? I'll give you a link, and in that also give you a link to this workshop because there's some resources at the end, the professors that I referenced. And that's pretty much it. Because there's a little bit of time here at the end, and I'm more than happy to answer questions or clarify anything that came through. Because I realized as I went through my notes, I skipped a couple two things. But what got out? How ironic. What got out, I believe, is what needs to be done. So, is there any questions that you might have? Yeah.
So like, what if you're in that like tier of like you don't know if you're passionate or you don't want to like commit?
Yeah.
Like, so how do you find out if you're actually passionate about that? You just keep working on it, like.
Well, I would say.
Like specifically, like my major. Like, I'm a biochem major, and like I really don't know if like I want to commit that time or if I should switch. You know what I mean? So like, should I just keep working on to see if it is, or should I actually like work on the passion I have now?
That's a really good question. That's above my pay scale. But in a general way, because I don't, obviously there's lots of specifics. In a general way, I think it's important to kind of know yourself and to know, to not so much to worry about so much the future, because it kind of works itself out, But if you really aren't feeling that whole thing, then I would say explore something else. But if it's something that you still feel like you're still getting something out of, even if it feels like it's hard work, because even Cal Newport was saying, it may not be pleasant. There's two instances of people that I talked to, more my age. One's a professor and another was a second fact coordinator. Okay, both these people, in their work, they said they're doing what they love to do, but it is hard. It's just hard. Now, have you done the workshop the other way? I would say, well, you got to count that cost and things like that. But I would probably say that if your skill set still matches that and it's satisfying, I say push through it a little bit. Don't give up on that. But if it's now not diving, it's okay to let it die. And that's actually a very important thing. It's okay for passion to die because as your skills change and as your situation changes, it's okay because you'll experience something down the line. Yeah, question.
So my question is, what if you develop more than, let's say, one passion? Do you choose one, or do you let go of the other, or do you
I totally screwed up this workshop. At the beginning of the workshop, I should have said this.
Okay.
If you knew me at all, and all you knew about me was I ran this conference, I'd be sad because I want you to know more about me. My primary passion would be my faith, and so that's the first thing I want you to know about. Secondarily, I would want you to know about my family. And then third would be the things I'm passionate about, which would be music. And I love music. I still play instruments. I try to gig with people, not gig with people, play in like my church band and play with other people. Then another thing I'm passionate about is education. And I love the inspiration and the sharing of information and watching young people grow up. I work in K-12, and I love technology. I work in IT. So things that you can change to make people's lives better. And even seeing my mom on a cell phone is kind of weird, but now she can communicate with family overseas. It changes the entire game, but that's the technology thing. I'm passionate about all these things. None of them really, actually, the best part is they actually work together in my life. So my secondary passion is radio, because that's where music, education, and technology all come together. For me, it's radio. So actually, for me, they actually work together. If they become in conflict with you, that's where a mentor or a friend would be a good person to talk to about. Again, passion is not the goal. Passion is the byproduct. It's that flow experience of saying, wow, this is what I was meant to do. But you get there because you're working at something. So if things are not working out with one thing because it's competing with another, that's when you gotta find help too, with like a mentor who's been in that situation, a friend who can talk you through it. I'm sorry, it's hard to get really specific, but does that help a little bit? Okay. Anything else I can help you with? Okay, like I said, if you finish this form, my contact information is down there. Email is just my name, jeremybautis@gmail.com. more than happy to follow up with any one of you if you have anything to chat about or want to know. Because, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but we all travel this journey at different paths, and it's great to do it with you. So once again, thank you so much to Maria for helping us out, and for everyone here at the conference, the coordinators who aren't here. Gosh, big ups to them as well. Thank you all. So yeah, after the workshop, this is all the different people. Okay, feel free to fill it out if you want, and then you will get an email from me, and it'll be cool. So.
You guys can take your cards out.
Where are you going?
Yeah.
Talk about how we cross